And we're live. Happy Friday, you guys. Welcome to the Feed Faces of Epilepsy Every Day, new podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you guys with my co-host, Lisa. How are you, Lisa?
I'm good. I'm so excited about this. This is really, really cathartic for me. It's very healing for me. And, even though you and I connected through epilepsy and, me losing Judah, you being an epileptic, Mike being an epileptic, and giving us this amazing platform and just producing this show for us, for epileptics, for the community of epilepsy. It's very cathartic. It's just very healing. And I feel so grateful. I just have so much gratitude as we're doing these shows, just knowing that these conversations, I think that people that even aren't epileptics are going to get a lot out of these conversations. I really do. I think they're going to be able to apply what they're hearing from you, what they're hearing from Mike, maybe even what they might be hearing from me to just apply to their lives, and I think it's going to be good. Really good.
I 100% agree because you are the mother of a juvenile epileptic who passed away from SUDEP, and your story is meant to be heard. The fact that you have dealt with that and you are still here shining brightly, showing people that if you have epilepsy, you are seen, you are heard, you are loved, and we are going to continue to get the help that we deserve. It's honestly, it's breathtaking. And I'm just so happy that I have the opportunity to be on this podcast with you and talk about how epilepsy has been affecting all of our lives. And again, for the people who are watching, you don't have to be epileptic yourself, but other people around you, like, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to feel like the world is falling down, but it's okay to get people around you to support you. You're not anything less than, right? At all. And I want to just throw it back to what we were talking about on Wednesday and how epilepsy is affecting the family home. Do you have anything? How did epilepsy affect you and your like family life at home? Because you said you were a single mother.
Yeah, it definitely affected our family, but me personally, for moms or parents of epileptics, there's this huge insecurity that you live with as a parent to a child that has epilepsy, because there's not a lot of conversation, there's not a lot of support or community. And I really, again, we're asking about it constantly on this show. I don't even know why that is. There's such a stigma around epilepsy, and we're trying to just break through that stigma so that there is more conversation, so that people feel heard, they don't feel alone, and they feel like they can see themselves in our conversations and know that, I've experienced that. I feel that way, and I always live with this quiet insecurity. I never really talked about it. You could tell though, because my nervous system was so deregulated having a child that was epileptic, because having these grand mal seizures and these tonic seizures where he would lose his bladder, bite his tongue, sometimes if he fell in the shower, he'd get a bruise. I know you can relate to that. You fell on a table, I think it was last week, and got a black eye. See it there. That was very typical with my son. And I think also too, it's just that insecurity that I always, like, every morning that I woke up, I just wanted to know that my son was alive. I just would kind of listen. And the moment I would hear him get up, or I'd hear him make sounds that weren't a seizure, I would know, oh, thank God, he's still alive. Because I never really I wasn't sure that he was going to have a long life. I wasn't, so maybe God kind of prepared me for that from a young age with him, because he had that really bad lung abscess in December, and how he got that was when you have grand mals or these tonic seizures, sometimes epileptics will foam at the mouth. And I think it can be very scary for people too that don't know what that is.
Mhm.
And that's kind of why they go, oh my God, somebody's having a seizure, and they run away from it because they don't even want to deal with it because they don't know how. And
Yeah,
I'm even wondering if that's part of the conversation, is to bring more awareness
it's to
so that
be.
when
Should
people
be.
see someone having a seizure, they can go to their aid and they know exactly what to do and they don't run the other way. And
Absolutely.
I think that's a really important piece of why it's so important to bring awareness, because there is this stigma around that, that if you don't talk about it, then you don't know, then you're afraid of it. Because what you don't know and you don't understand, you don't have any confidence around.
And
So
it scares people sometimes.
yeah, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. So, even if we can teach you something about, when someone has a seizure, putting them on their side, making sure their head is
That is, mhm. You
staying,
already know.
calming them down. Kind of, sometimes when my son would have grand malls, his body, I couldn't really touch him because he would get so strong. His strength, of even trying to calm him down, had to be very careful, because if I try to, kind of corral him to a degree, it would just get him more agitated.
Yeah.
So I think there's certain ways, of knowing what to do. But if you're ever in that situation, just make sure that you put the person on their side. Don't run away. Don't run away. Don't be afraid when someone's having a seizure. Please be there with them. Please stay there with them. Please, try to walk them through, that they're safe and they're okay, and till they get back online, and you make sure that, they know their name and they know where they're at, and that they're, because sometimes it can take an hour for someone to get back online again.
Sometimes even more. It's hard, and if they need to relax after that seizure, allow them to relax, because their body just went through an entire electrical, like, whatever you want to call it. It's insane what seizures do to your body. So taking naps after is super normal for them, so that's very, very important. And Lisa, when you were talking about what it felt like to, like, have a son with epilepsy and how it made you feel so insecure, it makes me think about living with it and my mom.
Mhm.
And it makes me so emotional, because I don't think that like, my mom or family wants to show the
Right.
fact that they're insecure to me, because they don't want me to freak out. They don't want me to feel, "Oh, I don't want you to think that you have a short life, and I don't want you to be nervous that I think you're gonna pass away," or anything like that. And honestly, I I can see where they're coming from. I really can see where they're coming from, but I want people to know, and them to know, that I had to accept it, you know? It's
Mhm.
okay to feel insecure about these things, and let me know if you want to. And it's such a beautiful experience living, in a situation where the family really knows what they're doing, and hearing
Mhm.
how you were so invested in his life, and so beautifully, like, capable and willing to do all of these things, makes me feel so supported too, and especially with the other epilepsy community as well. I
Yeah, thank you,
do.
Alyssa.
Of
Yeah,
course.
I think now, just like the parents knowing that, it's so important, because, these statistics that Mike talked about on Wednesday, this is like crazy when you think about the statistics of 1 in 1,000 people with epilepsy die of SUDEP. That is a huge statistic comparable to how many die of diabetes, right? Which is also a chronic condition, but that doesn't, I mean, sort of has a cure, right? I mean, there's things that you can do. Whereas, like with epilepsy, very little research, very little advocacy, very little awareness, very little education, no, very little cures, practically no cure. And we're still trying to find a cure. And it's just, it's mind blowing to me that no one is having this conversation. And I don't want to shame people, but like, even trying to write or have the newspapers or the media cover epilepsy during Epilepsy Awareness Month. I mean, what an uphill battle that was, right? So if it's like the only way that this community is going to be heard is like people like you, Alyssa, talking about it, people like Mike giving us the platform to be able to speak about it, right? And so that we can actually come together as a community and be able to say, hey, you know what, we want more funding, you know, we want more change, we want more single moms like myself to have the support, you know.
Yeah.
Thank God I had a business from home. I had built a business from home, to the degree where I was able to work from home, and I was able to spend the last 4 years of my son's life with him, travel with him, give him drum lessons, do all the things that he wanted to do. He lived a very, very, very full life, for such a young man. And, but still passed away in his prime, you know, of 18 years old. And I can tell you that there was nothing that really prepared me for that day other than my faith in God. And I know that he carried me through that, terrible, terrible, painful time. And it's still painful. And I'm just every day, it doesn't get easier. It really doesn't. Any parent that has lost a child, you know, when I see that they've lost a child, I start to relive the grief over again. I start to relive, you know, the memories, the pain, the disappointment. And I think that, you know, but there's also a beautiful humility in that. And I think that's what you're trying to speak to, Alyssa, is that there is this beautiful humility in the community of epilepsy.
Yeah.
And find the people to be so humble and so loving and kind and gentle and sincere in their faith, and just present in the moment,
Yes.
one day at a time. And maybe there's something that other communities that don't have chronic illnesses can learn from epilepsy and can learn from those that have been affected by epilepsy, whether it's their caretakers, as Micah said, or it's their siblings or others. And we hope to have so much more conversation, you know. So I think if there's any message today, it would be, we want to hear from you. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, yes, I have a story and I'm trying to rewrite that story about how, you know, my son, you know, had epilepsy and he passed away of SUDEP. But what can I do for the living? You know, what can we do for those that are still here living every day on the earth with epilepsy, as
And
well as their
so
family?
beautiful. That is so beautiful. And when we met, I knew that you were just divinely guided to help all of these people that you are, you know, with the feed and everything. And the biggest thing right now with epilepsy, especially for people who have rare conditions like me, I have something called PVNH, which is a very, very shortened word for ventricular nodular heterotopia. And it's basically drug resistant. And I can get into that more on next episode. But this certain epilepsy is drug resistant. So I can't even take any medication for it to kind of help. And I know we talked about Keppra Rage on, was it Wednesday or Monday? We talked about that. But when I tell you, it feels like we are so alone when we are undiagnosed or when we are going through the process of being diagnosed, process of getting the correct medication and all of that stuff. And having these sort of outlets is something that we need. And if you guys are struggling, please reach out to us. We want to help you, and tell us what kind of you know, medications you've been on and how they affected you. We want to hear about all of these things so we can show other people the progress that we're making, and maybe actually get more people in advocacy for raising awareness and money to finding a cure for this. Because epilepsy does not have a cure as of right now, and it's sort of ridiculous. And the fact that I have a drug resistant form, it's like I had to teach myself how to relive life. because I was diagnosed again when I was 20, 21. You know, that right at the peak of my life where I was in college and, you know, almost turning 21 and getting alcohol for the first time, which by the way, that's another story. People with epilepsy for the most part can't drink alcohol, which, you know, it's fine for me because it is what it is, but being so young, looking forward to certain things that are fun for, you know, older adults, it's really sad, and we have to provide an outlet for the people who aren't able to experience that and to let them share their stories. So again, this has being on this podcast and being able to talk about this has been one of the best things for me, and it has changed my life. And for those of you listening and speaking or listening to this, I am speaking for everybody when I say this. We are so, so strong. This community has the power to literally change the world. We just need to be more open about it. We don't
That's
need to
it.
be scared. Yeah,
Mhm.
Lisa, we don't need to be scared to talk about our experiences.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I want to ask you something because you touched on, that you were 21 years old. How did that play a part in your dating life? Obviously people do find their lovebird situation, in college, their college sweethearts, or they go on to marry, their college, who they met in college, boyfriends, girlfriends.
Mhm.
Did that change how you dated? And also, did it play a part in your friendships that you currently had? In other words, you had friendships, you got epilepsy. Did your friendships change? Can you speak into that for the audience?
Absolutely. So, okay, when I was diagnosed with epilepsy, and for those of you who understand where I'm coming from, I was insecure not only about myself, but about my dating life. And that's a great point. That didn't even pass over my head because I'm single now, and I've been single for maybe a year and a half now. But I felt like I wasn't going to find anybody who wanted to take care of me if I had a seizure, or like dating somebody was going to be hard for them and I was going to be a burden on them. And it really did kind of change my perspective when it came to finding love, because like I said, when I was a little younger, I was always outgoing, always wanting to do things, always up for a challenge, a game. When I was diagnosed, that completely changed, and I wasn't as open as I usually was, and finding somebody to even talk to was hard because I didn't even know what to say. I didn't know how to handle myself. If I had a seizure in front of them, do I tell them I have epilepsy? Do I not tell them I have epilepsy? Yes, you have to tell them that you have epilepsy, by the way. But
Mhm.
it's very important for them to know, and if they don't like that, then they're not for you.
Mhm.
There's always going to be somebody who is going to love you for you and your energy.
Mhm.
Not because you've got epilepsy. They're not going to love you any less because you have a certain condition.
Mhm.
And even though I'm single, I hold on to the fact that somebody is going to come into my life when I least expect it. That's for me personally. I feel like that always happens, but
Mhm.
it was very, very hard to fit in and find somebody who like felt like I wasn't being a burden to them.
Mhm.
And when
Mhm.
it came to friendships, um, I had a bunch of friends in college who I no longer talk to.
Mhm.
I scared them with having
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
this chronic illness. I really did, because my couple of roommates didn't know how to handle it. I had one friend who had epilepsy, but then we kind of went our separate ways. But whenever it was brought up, or whenever we went out and I had a seizure, oh, I was the one who ruined or canceled the plans. Now I'm not capable of being in this certain plan because they're going out and they don't want me to have a seizure and fall and, make a whole big deal. It was very hard.
Mhm.
Those people aren't meant to be in your life. That's what I think.
Mhm.
And for those of you who have experienced this, they are not they are not meant for you. If they are not going to treat you with the respect that you deserve, if they're not going to help you in ways that you need to be helped in that very moment. Also, getting seizure certified, like, that's very important to me as well. People should
Mhm.
know how to
Mhm.
handle seizure. And with my friends, they had no idea what they were doing. My friends now, absolutely. And there's also a bunch of different types of seizures out there, and we definitely should talk about that
Yeah.
in the next episode on Monday. But guys, just because we have epilepsy doesn't mean that we are not worthy of love and not deserving of love. Does not mean that we can't have friends, you know? We just have to be more confident in our illness. I know that kind of sounds, how are you supposed to be confident in something that makes you feel
Mhm. Mhm.
you'll learn. You
Yeah.
will 100% learn. I've done a lot of meditation, and again, meditation probably is one of the biggest things that has helped me in this. Mike, have you actually tried meditation, or Lisa, have you guys like tried meditation?
Mhm.
Has tried meditation?
Mhm.
How have you guys handled it with that? Have you
All the time. I have a saying that meditation is one letter away from medication. So, real simple.
Wow, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, all the power is right there. It's in your mind. I have the mind has the ability. Your brain has the ability. It's made of fat. It's plastic. It's a neuroplasty. So it has the brain can your nerves can be rewired. I believe that. And there are processes and practices and things that you can do to become seizure free. I believe that. I've seen it happen with people, and I believe that there's a lot. I think that is probably the path for a cure for epilepsy is the cannabinoid system. I don't know enough about it, but I know we will have experts on here, Mike,
Yep.
that we'll be able to interview that can share with us. Chip Paul, I know being one of them, could definitely speak into that. I know Sheila could. She's convinced she has a cure for epilepsy and seizures. And
Mm,
we'll have her on mic. So I know that this is going to be a real platform that is going to help a lot of people. We're going to get a lot of information out there, good information,
yeah.
and conversation to connect. But Mike, what do you want to say with regard to that, to speak into that?
Absolutely. Meditation is huge. I've actually been able to avoid a seizure because of knowing the breathing techniques and proper
Mm,
meditation techniques. Now, not every time. Uh, Something I saw in a group recently was that some people said that they have no warnings, and some people said they do have warnings.
mhm, mhm,
One of those lucky people to be in the both category. Sometimes I feel it,
mhm,
and quite honestly, lately I haven't. When I had them more often, meaning 2, 3 times a month, I
mhm,
definitely felt them coming on. Now that they're maybe, I don't know, 4 to 6 times a year. Usually I have I wake up and ask my wife, I had a seizure, didn't I? She's like, yeah, you did. Um,
mm,
but breathing through back when I was having them frequently, before I really even like went to the doctor to fix it, other than, kind of ER, I was like, I don't
mhm,
want to see a neurologist or whatever the case. I was in a board meeting one time and I felt the aura and I felt it coming on. And I was able to stop and just really breathe deep, like in the meeting, hoping no one noticed. But, breathe through the nose, out through the mouth, clear
yeah.
your mind, clear
Mhm,
your mind. Everything in your mind is just being packed up and
mhm,
removed outside of the
mhm,
doors.
mhm.
And in doing that, I was able to calm down enough and I felt it kind of pass. And I was able to come back to. Now, once again, it doesn't work all the time. And maybe higher level trained folks are better at it. But I definitely, as well,
Yeah.
recommend meditation, learning the breathing techniques and the mental techniques to reset yourself. Because for folks like us, I think it's an invaluable tool. Absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere,
Mhm,
absolutely, because meditation has helped me So much. And I want to talk about one more thing here. If you have epilepsy and you are living at home and you aren't capable of driving or going out and doing the normal 9 to 5, it doesn't make you any less than. And
Mhm,
do not let people make you feel bad about the fact that you are capable of working from home.
mhm,
That's the
mhm,
biggest thing,
mhm,
because I used to feel like
mhm,
that. Um, I had my family. I explained it to them, and we're all good now. But sometimes I thought that they were judging me because I was able to work from home, and they didn't think I was doing
mhm,
anything. And the truth is, I'm doing so much
mhm,
because I'm at
mhm,
home. It's just it's things that people can't see.
mhm, mhm,
And running a podcast, having so many platforms to talk about our situation and our stuff,
mhm,
and actually getting the word out there, we are capable of
mhm,
running an entire business from home.
mhm.
That is
Absolutely.
that's what I wanna leave you guys off with. Like,
Mhm.
we
Absolutely.
we are capable of making a living and
Mhm,
doing all of these things just like other people are from our homes, and honestly, I think that's pretty incredible.
mhm. Definitely. This has been such an amazing show. I don't know how much longer we have, but I want to, talk about that next week, that maybe we could talk about, breaking through the stigma of scary. I would love, Mike, for us to start a change.org petition on getting more education on epilepsy into schools, because this is a crucial time for young people to know about epilepsy from a young age, so that they can help the children that are having epileptic seizures at school, at bus stops, subways, train stations, wherever they're at, on their bikes, wherever they're at. I think that's definitely something that's needed, because there's not a lot of education at
No,
all in the
not at
school.
all.
That's
Not
so
at all.
important. That's a great
So
idea.
important, especially with, when you think about, Mike, that statistic that you were talking about with regard to young people with epilepsy, because many are children. This
Yeah,
is what we have to realize. Alzheimer's and dementia, again, not here to, caca poo poo on the Alzheimer's or dementia community,
yeah,
or Parkinson's or MS, or any of that. I'm just saying that with regard to epilepsy, it affects children, it affects young people. And those are oftentimes the ones that are dying of SUDEP. So, their earlier years of their life. So I think that's something that we really need more education, starting at the school level, all the way down to elementary, really.
oh yeah, I 100% agree with that, because I used to teach a little girl who had seizures, and I was her person that she would go to, and she would explain that everybody was terrified of her because they didn't understand
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
And like you said, we have to break the stigma of epilepsy being scary and
Scary and demonic.
demonic.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
it's not, well, or if that's the case, then every disease is demonic. You know what I'm saying? Like, then we would have to just classify everything as demonic, but it's just because we don't know about it. So, like, when we look at epilepsy, it's just something that we don't talk about. And because we don't talk about it, we have no confidence around it, because we
Yeah.
have no education and awareness around it. So the more we talk about it and the more we share our stories, the more that people are going to feel heard, seen. They're going to feel like they belong, and they're going to feel mostly like they're not alone. Like
Yeah.
there's
And
somebody
that's what
else.
we need.
Oh my gosh, that's my struggle. I struggled with that. And then you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. It's such a big deal. It's such a big deal. And
Yes.
Mike, I love this that you talked about, Alyssa. You talked about the meditation and regulating the breathing. I
Yeah.
would love to have a gentleman on next week. Maybe he'll come and talk to us about breathing and the fragmented mind, because breathing exercises daily are so important. So
Yes.
important.
Especially because those of us who have epilepsy, and if we do feel auras, it can take us literally out of a seizure,
Yeah.
like Mike was
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
And at night, I also want to mention Reiki as well. Reiki can be super, super helpful for those who have epilepsy. The list goes on and on. This is your space to get all of the information that you need in order to, also sometimes holistically heal your epilepsy. And real quick, I want to say, if you have drug resistant epilepsy and you've tried a bunch of different medications and you're just not really seeing anything working, you are seen and you are heard. Okay. I don't want you to feel forced to go on another medication if you think it's going to do worse for your body. You need to listen to yourself. You need to listen to your heart and what it is telling you. Because in my experience, I have had a lot of people look at me a certain way because I wasn't handling my epilepsy the way that they would have liked it, but they also are not in your shoes and they're not in my shoes. So it's very, very frustrating sometimes when people are dealing with that. And so I hear you, I see you. You are so strong in the fact that you are still like finding outlets for yourself to talk about this and to learn more information, because that's why all of you guys are here right now. We're learning about information. We are making a change. So it's really incredible, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds when it comes to this.
Me too. We'll see you next week. I love it. Breaking through that stigma is scary. That's where I think we should start off next week. Mike, anything else?
Not at all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We genuinely appreciate that. I am so excited to produce for us next week, and we will see you all then. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.